advanced Psi. Just had a 40k cross country on quite a tricky day actually. Quite strong climbs, but very broken up. So nothing that was really a nice full circle. You have to keep working and keep moving and shifting and following the core. So it was a good test of the glider. Got up to cloud base once or twice, which is, well, I don't know, 1,200 meters or so up, and some long glides, lots of working light, choppy lift and having to shift around. That's cool. Yeah, very nice glider. I mean, what can I say? These wings are all fantastic these days. They're so well designed. They, you know, they're all refined. They all have gone through such an evolution over the last 20 years that when you get something like this and it's new and it's come out of a reputable company like Advance, you know, all the research has been done. It's polished, it's finished, it works very well. It's a very clean riser layout for a lightweight wing. Nice to have webbing. The pulleys and the speed bar are nice and big. You've got this floating line for the big ears line on the outer A. Just means that when you accelerate the wing, there's slightly less acceleration on the tip. The lines are all unsheathed except for this stabilo, the base of the stabilo line, and the brake line. A bit of wind now. I'm just going to pull it up slowly and move towards it. Gliding around with the other gliders, I mean, I think it's competitive in the high B class. It's very difficult to tell when you're flying cross country because you're up and then the other person's up and you're gliding in different air. Yeah, I felt competitive. Climb was easy. I was climbing with two other different gliders in the same class. I was climbing with the Super Step. I had no problem keeping up with the step and we were kind of equal, so you know, that's another modern high B. I was doing well. The feeling on the wing, it's very mellow. It feels a lot like the Iota 2. It's mellow in the turn. It's not instant and not quick and very direct. It is mellow in the turn. You've got a fair amount of brake that you can pull. It's quite a long brake travel. It's a moderate amount of pressure, quite a deep position for thermaling. It's a little bit tiring, but it's fine. It's certainly very easy. There's nothing hot about it. The turn is very balanced and smooth. And you can tighten it up, but you do need a little bit of muscle and kind of, you got to lean into it to get that tighter turn if you want it. Having said that, if it's light lift and if you're wanting to just do gentle turns, it's very, very delicate and it does respond on a little bit of brake. So you can actually float around with very light inputs and just, you know, having a nice time. But when you're wanting to sink the wingtip into something and give it a bit of a hook turn, you need quite a lot of brake. So there's quite a lot of travel and you will be using fairly deep brake position. The brakes are quite a long travel and then there's lots of protection for the stall point. You know, you can come down and hold and hold and hold and you get that high pressure before stall, a long delay and then a very slow, smooth kind of entry into the stall. So it's very, very forgiving that way. Yeah, so this is just, I'm just gliding now. I've just done some stalls and yeah, very long brake travel, lots of resistance to stall, a lot of pressure needed, and a very gentle entry into a stall. So really good marks for that, very easy to handle. And that's a real strong point for the class. Absolutely, I would say bomb-proof stall resistance. It's very good, and you're not going to stall it by mistake. Putting it in brake on one side as well, the spin is very slow to engage, so you don't have to worry about it. I didn't feel that it was hot in any way when I was flying. It was not like a high, you know, super tune B. It's kind of in the middle of the class. It's very easy, very accessible, very stable in pitch. I find I was going out even on bar. It just sits above you. Once or twice when I hit really grumpy air, it did do a bit of a jump ahead, but it's very easy to control, and also it dampens it out. But most of the time it's sitting in a narrow bracket just above your head. It's a very easy in thermaling. There's no need to manage the sort of forward surge, and it's very calm, so it gives you a good ride. Certainly nothing hot about this glider. That so far it's just been very easy, mellow. The turn is a compact feeling of a low aspect ratio wing. Turns fairly quickly. It's not super agile and it's not super energetic. It's more of a mellow turn, but it does get round quite tight because it's a small little wing. And I find the thermaling pleasant. I was never really having to control energy in the wing. It was just doing its job and going around nicely. I did some big ears. They do flap around a little bit. They flutter, as opposed to some wings that flap, where you've got lots of air in the wingtips. These wingtips seem to deflate like the Iota 2. They actually get rid of the air and they just flutter a little bit. So they shake, but they don't disturb you and they don't mess up the stability of the glider at all. And when you release them, they slowly come out on their own. They're quite happy. So very easy. I found it a very simple glider to fly. Of course, it's incredibly light. And you know, if anybody's going to make a light glider with light fabric and super sort of optimized and reduced reinforcing, I want it to be Advance. I'm very confident about their manufacturing and their attention to detail and the little things that they put in to make sure that even though it's light, it's still strong. So I'm very confident that this lightweight product will last you, but you must bear in mind that it's an ultralight. It's lighter than you would normally make a paraglider, so you have to be careful with it. You can't drag it around on launch. In particular, you can't drop it on its leading edge if you flip it upside down. If you're still learning your ground handling, stay on a medium weight glider until you're experienced. It really stays flying in light stuff, which is quite an advantage when you're launching off funny places in your adventures. I'm going to try and bring it down to the ground now. Got a bit of brake on, very light wind, so it's falling back. And now I'm just going to release the brakes and let it fly. Okay, it's wanting to refly. Let's put it down, keeping it close to the ground. No-handed launch. No effort at all. The other thing to bear in mind also when you go to a lightweight wing is they seem to have slightly less resistance to collapses. They're a little bit hotter that way. Something to do with the reinforcing being reduced. So they reinflate quickly, but they also seem to be a little bit more susceptible to collapses. They're a little bit hotter that way. So you must be sure that you are ready for the high B class, the XE class, before you progress onto something like the Psi. You mustn't be on a, you know, let's say a ENA and think, oh, I'm going to go up to the high B class and this is my first wing. Being a lightweight as well is giving yourself a little bit more demand. Having said that, the positives of a lightweight wing: super easy to launch. This wing floats up by itself, very easy to keep it overhead, and it packs away to nothing. So if you're traveling and you're doing lots of adventuring, you're wanting to do Volber flying regularly, then this is ideal. You know, something that's got stability, it's easy to fly, it's simple, it's not going to overwhelm you. You can go and explore in some places that are maybe pretty hectic, and you've got a wing that's giving you some built-in passive safety. Very cool and very reliable, simple wing, no fuss, and very clean in the air, easy to fly. Something for you if you're wanting to go on big adventures, do lots of cross-country flying, go exploring and have a really small pack.